I'm sorry. Aren't you?
Oh, yes. I played the Mandarin, but that was over bloody 10 years ago, and I was just a puppet.
Welcome to Decoding TV's coverage of Wonder Man. I'm going to read the plot synopsis from Disney. Aspiring Hollywood actor Simon Williams is struggling to get his career off the ground. During a chance meeting with Trevor Slattery, an actor whose biggest roles may well be behind him, Simon learns legendary director Von Kovac is remaking the superhero film Wonder Man. These two actors at opposite ends of their careers doggedly pursue life-changing roles in this film as audiences get a peek behind the curtain of the entertainment industry. End quote. There have been 8 episodes of Wonder Man. All of them are live right now on Disney+. I have seen all 8 of them. Patrick has seen 2 of them. We will not spoil anything past the first couple episodes, but there might be like hints of stuff that happens later on. It's not very like plot-driven show in my opinion, so I don't think you have too much to worry about. All that said, we're going to start with our overall thoughts on the show. Patrick Klepek, what did you think of Wonder Man?
Oh, this is I almost said wonderful show, but it is like this is one of my favorite things I've seen. I almost say like saying it out of Marvel feels strange to say. Like it's just a really good television show that also happens to like be Marvel adjacent. I think if you're into the MCU and are looking for something a little bit different, like you'll be satisfied. If you're tired of superheroes or just kind of dipping in and out based on the stuff that really bubbles to the top, I think Wonder Man should be one of those things that you check out. I now understand much better why it was released all at once.
Yes.
It's a delightfully bingeable show in which
Yes.
I watched 2 episodes and had to restrain myself from watching more. And it's not because the cliffhangers are great. It's because I want to see what new situation these 2 characters get into. Like the acting is terrific. The premise is great. I think it uses the superhero conceit to tell a different kind of story in which you could tell this story without the superhero conceit, but boy, it's a hell of a lot of fun with the superhero conceit kind of lurking in the foreground and in the background. So I'm having an absolute blast with Wonder Man, and I feel like it's gonna be one of those shows that people like for years to come are like, I know you're tired of the whole superhero thing, but like, did you watch Wonder Man? So don't be one of those people. I think you should just watch it right now.
Yeah, now this show, Wonder Man, has been released under the Marvel Spotlight banner. And Marvel Spotlight was one of several brands that were used to convey, hey, you don't actually need to know that much about Marvel shows or movies to enjoy Wonder Man. In my opinion, that banner is actually fairly accurate this time around. Now, look, ideally, to fully enjoy Wonder Man, you need to have watched Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I
think fully enjoy, full context. I think those are different things. I'm not sure that how much Iron Man 3 came out 13 years ago.
I know, right?
So like I don't have full memory of Iron Man 3.
Well, Iron Man 3 I actually thought was really cool because the Mandarin is a very racist caricature from the comic books, but they're able to transform it into something completely different. They really got around that they really like skirted that whole situation in a way I thought was quite brilliant. And so I really appreciate it. But hey, let me catch you guys up to what actually happened, right? So there's this actor in Iron Man 3, there was this bad guy called the Mandarin, played by Ben Kingsley, and you think he's the one perpetrating all these terrorist attacks around the world, but it's actually this other guy named Aldrich Killian who is causing all these explosions, and he hired this actor named Trevor Slattery to play the Mandarin to pretend to be a terrorist. And after the events of Iron Man 3, Trevor Slattery was captured by Tony Stark, and then I'm reading here from the wiki of Trevor Slattery. He was sent to Seagate Penitentiary. While in prison, he took advantage of his newly found fame, allowing Jackson Norris, and here we get into like the Shang-Chi thing. Shang-Chi, a movie I enjoyed, had a great time with it, watched it in theaters, did a review of it. I'm reading the plot summary. I literally don't remember any of these details, right?
That movie also came out a while ago.
It came out 5 years ago during like at the height of COVID, basically, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of us are blocking that stuff out. Anyway, he allows Jackson Norris to film and produce a documentary about his life, only to learn that Norris worked for Zhu Wenwu. This is the Tony Leung character from Shang-Chi, the true Mandarin, who had then proceeded to kidnap Slattery. Slattery managed to avoid Wenwu's wrath by using his acting skills to entertain the Ten Rings, being allowed to survive in exchange for him becoming Wenwu's court jester, leading him to live in isolation for many years. Eventually, Slattery met Wenwu's children, Shang-Chi and Zhu Xiaoling, along with their friend Katie Chen, who were also sent to be locked up. Slattery accompanied his new party as they all escaped from the Ten Rings headquarters, serving as Morris's translator as he guided them into the home of the realm of Ta Lo. When Wenwu and the Ten Rings followed them into the dimension, Slattery participated in their subsequent battle and survived the big attack that happens at the end of the film. So that was basically the last we saw of Trevor Slattery in the MCU. And then he shows up in LA trying to make it work in an acting career again. Now, I haven't even gotten to my overall thoughts on the show. I was a big fan of the show, like Wonder Man. I felt something I haven't felt in a long time, Patrick Klepek, which is when I finished an episode of an MCU show, I'm like, let me just press play on the next one. Like, I really want to see the next one. I watched the whole show in like 1.5 days. I was huge fan of the show. But as I did on the Filmcast, I'm going to give a bunch of caveats, right? This comes from somebody who basically really strongly disliked most other MCU shows. I think most other MCU shows are complete abject failures, largely because many of them feel like they are shows made by people who don't know how to make television. Many of them feel like they took multiple pivots halfway through, like they didn't know what the show was going to be. Many of them feel like they concluded with a big tie-in to the MCU, and therefore the show doesn't really work on its own as an individual discrete unit of storytelling. These are the problems that plague MCU shows, and I think most of them are bad. This show avoids all of those problems by, first of all, being extremely grounded, right? Like, there is some superhero stuff, and we could talk, people who know about the Wonder Man character and, know about him from the comics will like recognize some of that here. But very few superhero powers play a role in the show in general. Like, it's just not really... That is an element. It is a significant element, but it is not the element. It is not like the driving force behind the show. You could watch this show, and if they never made any more Wonder Man stuff, I'd be very happy. I'd be like, oh man, what a great time we had watching and discussing Wonder Man. And that was it, and it's over. And now that time of our lives is over, and we never need to think about Wonder Man again. And I'm very grateful for it. Like, that's how I feel about it. Unlike a lot of Marvel shows where it's like, okay, I guess we need to know what the deal with Kang is now. That turned out to be time well invested. Anyway,
but I feel like Loki, like some of the best stuff that like of like the things that Disney has made in the television for Loki is like pretty high to the top of like stuff that like has some pretty high highs. But Loki catches strays out here when like Secret Invasion is sitting right here, ready to take another punch.
Secret Invasion and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Anyway, so yeah, and the tie-ins to MCU universe stuff, like very, very minimal. You ideally have seen Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi and other things, but like you don't really need to have seen anything. You could literally, this would be an MCU show I'd feel comfortable recommending to anyone. Like you never need to have ever seen a Marvel show. You could just watch this and enjoy the chemistry between Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Ben Kingsley, and it is a blast. Like, it's just so much fun watching these two actors feel out their friendship, kind of cautiously get to know each other, and then have a little bromance together. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. I had a great time watching the show. Patrick, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, it's in many ways, or one specific way, this is how like a long-running universe can take advantage of itself, which is like Slattery is a character that I think you can watch this show and have no context for in his previous history in the MCU. And the show does enough, like, you can just take it at face value and have a really great time. The dynamic is established. But if you, that's why I described it as like, not fully appreciate, but fully like full context, because it is super like cool to know that like there is this long history, an arc to this character that is taking place over like films, decades. Like that's just doesn't happen. And I feel like here the handoff, like, in some ways it feels a little bit like lightning in a bottle, and it's also like C, D, E level characters that like, I mean, I love Ben Kingsley, but like nobody was like sitting around like standing up on a chair going like, where is Slattery? Where? So you can like do more with this character.
Slattery.
Right.
That's
now,
what the audiences
I'm
are
doing
saying.
that. I'm doing that, especially after watching these episodes, but I'm not sure the average person is. But it's a really seamless transition from like, he was like a key part of like one blockbuster film, a minor part in another blockbuster film, and then gets to play an incredibly key role across like the television series. And if you didn't watch those two movies, like, again, it's context, but you can just go for the ride. Like, I think it's what Marvel in some ideal world, like that, this would be the dynamic between the films and the television world.
Yeah.
It's a hard line to walk, but like this would have been like, give me 10, not all of them would like work, but like give me 10 Wondermans as opposed to like all the other attempts we've gotten, even if I've liked some of them more than you have.
Well, he's an Academy Award winning actor. You know, like it just is, it is mildly rare to have somebody of this acting caliber perform in a Marvel TV show. That's just like,
and also who's being asked to be intentionally silly.
Yes.
Like, the Slattery character is goofy as hell. It is a tone that part of the reason the character is fun, like has always been fun, is like it feels very against type for like when Ben, like even in this show when he's like, and I was in the theater and like doing Hamlet. Yeah, because when I think of Ben Kingsley, like that's kind of what I conjure in my head is like doing Shakespearean plays and other dramatic roles, not like this goofy little guy going, tee-hee-hee. And like that's kind of what he does. And he operates in different modes. And this show has, even in its first two episodes, like some really great dramatic depth that I don't normally associate with Marvel fare. But even just watching Kingsley in this mode is just like, it's worth watching just to see him operating at this frequency for such long periods of time.
Absolutely. And what is great is he kind of is playing like a, do you remember Carl Weathers from Arrested Development? Like he's playing, because all the actors in the show are playing actors. Like he's playing a kind of very pathetic version of himself where he's like, I'm kind of desperate to get any role that is available because I used to have this reputation as a terrorist, rightfully so, you know, like, and he's just trying to like break back into Hollywood. And I mean, that's, you know, one of the ways I've described this and other people have described it too is this is like Marvel's version of the studio. It's not as funny as the studio. It doesn't have as many cameos as the studio, but it's Marvel's version of what it is like to try to make it as a working actor in Hollywood. I love the first episode where you get to see all the indignities on display right there, where, you know, the main character, Simon Williams, is brought onto an episode of American Horror Story, and he's put so much thought into his character, right? And because this is actually like really close to what an actual actor's life is, where you're in a show for 5 minutes and then you die. But it's like, for them, it's a big deal. And they're getting paid a decent amount and they're working with really cool people. And so they'll spend weeks just thinking about it. And then you get on set and it's like, they just want to get through the day. They just want to like finish the job that they're doing. And he's like, but would he have these books? And would he be standing over here? And eventually they fire him and it's very undignified. I don't think they would actually fire him like that in that way as it's depicted in the show. But it's like, oh wow, actors get into becoming actors because they want to get at something transcendent that connects all of us as humans. And then they're asked to do some of the like least dignified stuff possible. That's like, please lie there for like 8 hours while we like get blood on you, and so you can get footage of you being dead. You know, it's like. This contrast is something I think the show brings out really wonderfully, and the show is really about that. That's another thing I really love about Wonder Man is it's actually about something. It actually is about acting. It's about like performance art or the art of performance, and a lot of the Marvel shows have not really been about anything, right? Like,
or it's a shallow conceit, like that. Like it's just a premise to get you to. Yes. People like hitting each other in the sky at some point. And the amount like episode 2, like the entire time trying to shoot this audition tape, like I kept waiting for like, well, at some point, like there'll be like a punch, right? And like, and it never comes. Nope. Like it sits with the acting. And it's genuinely remarkable, both if you're a follower of like Marvel and superhero adjacent productions. And it just makes for like really, I get if you're tired of like, oh great, like another production about how hard it is to like work in Hollywood. I get it. Like if there's a lot of that stuff out there. There's like the studio just happened. There was always another show about the show. But I do this one really centers an actor and the performance and like why they do the performing part in a way that I feel is less common than with things like the studio are going after.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about it. I was just saying this is a show that's about something. Other Marvel shows have tried to be about something. They've come close to being about something. Like for instance, WandaVision almost was a show about grief and like losing your children and the psychological toll of that and what that cost you. And then it really, you can sum that whole show up in that line that woman says to Wanda at the end of, these people who you mentally tortured for the last however many weeks have no idea what you sacrificed for them. It's like, okay, so the show is like completely thematically incoherent.
That show got like 90% of the way. Like it got way further along than like a lot of this other stuff.
Right. I mean, Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is theoretically a show about Falcon trying to assume the mantle. Like, what is it like to assume the mantle of somebody who like has greatness and all this stuff?
Well, and a black person doing that. Like, there's a lot of racial politics it is like one good scene about that when he goes to talk to that one guy like in the house is like the best scene in the show, and then it doesn't do
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like that. These shows will come close to actually engaging with some of these big ideas, and I feel Wonder Man actually is about acting. It's about the art of performance and what it means and what you give up and all these things. Like it's really about that and how those things interact with Hollywood, and I think it's beautiful. Like I felt like, oh wow, at the end of it, I felt like I was told a complete story, a complete idea that was very satisfying. So yeah, really loved Wonder Man. Patrick Klepek, any other thoughts? Anything else we want to discuss about the show?
I just can't wait. I mean, I genuinely cannot wait to watch more. Like I only watched 2, partially on the time crunch I'm on this week, and then also because my wife had to get up early the next day. She's like, how many of those do you have to watch? I was like, I only have to watch 2. And then felt guilty. Like I thought about watching a third. I was like, no, like I really want to watch this like with her. And so
that's nice. You want to experience it together. That's
because it's like we both watch a lot of that stuff together. And it's like, this is like an exceptionally good one. And so that is just, I feel like it is as ringing of an endorsement as one can get for a show like this. And I think I think also what we're trying to get at is that it's more than just a show like this. Like again, if you are fatigued from this stuff, I don't necessarily know that I'd put Wonder Man in that camp. It's trying for something more, and it makes you want more of it, not on both of the show itself. And I'd love, more shows and storytelling that had this sort of quiet ambition.
I want to just give a shout out to Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed some of the episodes of Wonder Man, directed Shang-Chi, and just is becoming an increasingly important creative voice in the MCU. The show looks great, and I have to say, this is not always a given. Many Marvel series over the course of time have started having this like really ugly, desaturated look. And there's been many explanations for why that's the case. Like they are finalizing the details up until the last minute, so they can't like align on what the color grading is because they want to have a lot of flexibility for visual effects, like whatever the explanation is. And so a lot of them like you look at the Marvel shows, you go, oh, that looks like kind of ugly and desaturated and not very good. This show does not look like that at all. And in fact, I would also argue Ironheart, even though was not a great show, also looked great. Like there's a new like visual style, very saturated colors that pop, like a very distinct style. Wonder Man looks like it could have been shot on film. Like it looks really has a sort of very organic look to it. And so I just wanted to shout that out as well. Like I think it looks great and kind of markedly different than a lot of Marvel stuff. So
and also two shows that have great title card reveals.
Yes,
like the original the title card reveal in Wonder Man for the first episode is like in the apartment with when I don't want to say too much, but it's really good. Like I smiled at the title card reveal.
Yeah.
Ironheart was not a show that I cared for very much, but I looked forward to every episode.
The titles in Ironheart were all because it was different every episode of our call.
It tried it was clear they put a ton of work into being creative with that. Because that was gonna be my question. One question for you was, so this is directed by Cretton for the first two episodes. Like this is co-created by him and Andrew Guest. They both wrote and directed the first two episodes. And so my question for you was whether that maintains or feels like a pale imitate, like what the quality was like as it goes through the subsequent 6 episodes. I know he's involved in the whole show, but it's only the first 2 that he ends up personally directing.
Yeah, no, I think the quality is there all the way through. I will say, I'm going to be as vague as possible, but there's one episode where the show is dramatically different stylistically than every other episode. And it's oh, wow, what an interesting approach they took for that episode. I'm not going to say I'm being very vague about what it is, but you will know immediately what I'm talking about.
All right. Okay.
And I was oh, that's so cool the way they did that episode. And there is one episode that I think is fairly slow and inconsequential and, but overall, I think the show looks great all the way through. It feels consistent. It feels like a whole package. At the end of it, I'm man, what a wonderful time we spent in the MCU. I'm so grateful for the show, and I hope it finds an audience. So anyway, Patrick, maybe we can do a little bonus episode when you finish watching the show. Yeah.
I will be burning through the rest of this, and I gotta say, it also makes me very excited for the Spider-Man film. To have, I mean, the fight. I know Shang-Chi has the last third of that movie sucks. The fight scenes in that are
the fight scene on the bus, right?
The bus when they're up on the side of the building, just so many cool sequences. And Spider-Man specifically lends itself as a character to a lot of that stuff. So this show, it makes me excited for if this man wants to keep doing Marvel stuff. These are the kind of creatives you would want to be interested in working in this world to elevate it.
Yeah, Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out in July of this year, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. So, and if you've seen some of the behind-the-scenes footage that is leaked online, looks really cool. So I'm really excited.
A whole lot of Tom Holland being I'm doing stuff in this movie. A lot of emphasis on. I'm not saying it's he's being goofy, but it's very much a grounded, lots of fighting, lots of physical interactions between actors. It's gotten me very excited, even though we've seen, I'm hoping Super Bowls we'll see our first trailer for that movie.
Yeah. All right. You've been watching or listening to Decoding TV. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/@decodingtv or wherever you get your podcasts to hear our coverage of TV shows like Wonder Man and The Pit and Fallout Season 2 and more. Thank you for checking us out and checking out our review of Wonder Man Season 1 on Disney+. Hey everyone, David Chen here. Thank you so much for watching that video from Decoding TV. If you want to get an audio version of the show, all you got to do is go to podcast.decodingtv.com. And if you want to support what we do, get ad-free episodes of the podcast and also bonus episodes of the podcast, go to decodingtv.com and become a paid member. Of course, you can also like and subscribe for more. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you later.